Hi, Dr. Gupta. You have said in the past how detrimental cell phones are to humanity, and I'm not sure whether I have a proclivity for worrying about the end of humanity, but you did have one tweet where you said that cell phones were going to be the end of humanity. And I'm wondering if I agree or if I see the reasoning in that tweet, if wanting to avert that or wanting to change the world is a egoic or a self-centered pursuit, or if not being concerned about the end of the world or the end of humanity is sort of a enlightened place. Thank you.
I don't understand the question.
When you say that the cell phone is going to end humanity, to what end do you observe that? Is that a concern of yours? Is it a...
No, that isn't a concern of me. That was just an observation. I don't really care.
That just if he decides the other person should have it, is it possible for him to give it to another person?
Ask what you want to ask.
If a person has found the truth, is it possible for that person to...
Ask what you want to ask. If you're only asking hypotheticals, I'm not interested.
No, because honestly, I'm in a place where I feel it's not by effort. At one point, somebody has to be compassionate and decide to give it to you. And I could be wrong, and I'm just trying to find out.
So who is the you? Are you the giver of the truth, or
no? I want to
ask what
it.
you want to ask.
I want to receive it from somebody, and I feel...
Okay, so speak plain. So speak plain English. Don't dress it up. Don't turn it into a hypothetical. Don't turn it into... Just speak complete English, second grade level. Ask exactly what the situation is and what you want to ask. Don't summarize.
I feel I've made enough effort. I feel that at this point, it can only come from another person who's established in that truth or has found the truth already. And there is no other way I would get it. Is that true?
It depends what you mean by get. And when I say that, you know that I know what get means, right?
Yep.
So before you give a reflexive answer, there must be a reason why I'm asking the question, right? So it would not be wise to just blah, 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 respond and give me the dictionary definition of get, right? So you know that I'm asking, there's a reason why I'm asking the question. So it depends on what you mean by get.
I would say that I'm in a place where for me to just be in the present, be now, and I've had glimpses of how nice that is, but I can't work myself to be there all the time, or that there are parts of me...
And the very fact that you're trying to do that is really the remnants of spirituality and all of the jargon and all of the nonsense and all of the information and stuff that has bled into you. One really must, in order for the possibility for truth to even occur, there must be room for it. And if all the room is filled with the stuff, then there hasn't been there has to be a cleansing of some sort of nonsense. Otherwise, how can something else fit in? So everyone is filled with things, ideas, and concepts, and it's not a matter of it's their fault or not their fault. That's just the way it is, and because they've been living in the world, and all of these things have gotten into them, and they've subscribed to these notions. And I don't think like nobody will ever realize. I don't even think in a million years. The depth to which they've been destroyed by the world, by spirituality, by self-help, by society, by all of the information that's available on the web and all the books that are written in the media. Like no one will understand it. No one. You may hear the words, but you're not going to get it. It's too much. It's too much. It is literally every human being has been given cyanide, and they look upon what I just said, and they view what I just said as a dramatic overstatement. They view what I just said about the cyanide as a exaggeration, or they view it as symbolic. Um, and because they view it as symbolic and as over dramatization and hyperbole and exaggeration, they can't understand because they don't think it's real. And it isn't my interest to make them think it's real. I don't care. But to them, that's just words. To you, it's just words. Not because people want it to be words, not because they don't want to understand. It's just too much. It's like me saying that when you go out into the air, the air is filled with this noxious substance that transforms your cortex 5% each day, and at the end of the year, if you do an MRI on your brain, it's twisted. Like, I mean, that would be dramatic, and that would be hyperbole. But if I said that, that would be viewed as fantastical, and rightly so. That should be viewed as fantastical because it isn't an MRI and structural issue. But when I say that all of the stuff and the jargon and the prescriptions and the conditioning and all of these things have been given to you as pure cyanide, and you have been dead for a very long time since you were a very small child, that is viewed in the same way as me saying that when you leave your house every day and the 5% noxious or 5% change in your brain happens and your brain is twisted, you view it in the same way. And that's a problem. And there's a problem for me. It's a problem for you. It's a problem for you because it will be very difficult for you to get past the notion and the belief that is exaggeration, that is hyperbole. You will not want to view it as cyanide. You might think, oh, well, he's just over dramatizing it. Okay, what he's basically saying is that the things I've been given not really true, and it's fine. You don't understand. You don't understand. When you've been fed something for your entire life, then that changes the way that you think. That and what you think changes the way that you behave. And all these things change what you believe. So what you believe and what you think based upon the information that you've been given, completely 100% in the most practical, immediate, moment-to-moment, day-to-day living reality, that doesn't affect your life. That is your life. If you've been told that you're living in France, but you actually live in India, but you're convinced that you live in France, that isn't a small thing because you will go outside and look for the Eiffel Tower. Your behavior, this is not theoretical. This is not a minor thing. It's your entire life. You might even go outside and start speaking French. And because you speak French, then you will fail all your courses in school. And you will destroy all your relationships. So, like, everything I say, no matter how much it seems to me dramatized, you know what the truth is? The truth is that I can't dramatize it enough. And that if you are wise or want to be, you will take whatever I say and bump it up about 4 million times. But there aren't enough adjectives for me to 4 million X it. X it, not EXIT. X space it. Words can't 4 million X it. I could add every adjective in the English language. It still wouldn't. That's your job. So when you are filled with all of these things, then those things become you and you become them. You become a French person. I'm not disparaging French. It was just an example. Don't send me any nonsense or I'll block you. You speak French, you think you're in France, you look for French food. Everything you do is wrong. It's wrong according to your circumstance. Now, if you were in France and you were told that you were French, okay, fine. You've been told the truth. Now, whenever you go and speak French and you look for French food, you won't have problems. So, this is one of those if there's one message thing, right? Like, when you, like, everything that comes out of, I'm not picking on you, it's everybody. Everything that comes out of a human being's mouth, why does it come out? Did he think of those words? Of course not. Those words come out because they first went in. So when someone says, the consciousness of the plane of consciousness and the love of this and all this garbage, right? That wasn't the person. That was what was fed to them. So the understanding of just how much you have been destroyed. There's even destroyed as minor because now why is it destroyed? Because if you were not fed those things, you absolutely would have been in a different place. That's not even theoretical. I'm not saying that you would have been richer or this or that. I'm not going to give you the detail. But if you were not fed things that weren't true, then even if you were not fed the truth, fine. But you still would have been looking. And when you would have been looking, you would have been looking knowing that you haven't been fed the truth, and so you're looking for the truth. And therefore, number one, it would allow you the possibility to look. That's one. Because if you are fed nonsense, obviously you're going to believe that nonsense is not nonsense, otherwise you would never eat it. But you keep eating it and drinking it and reading it and listening to it. So no one would do that if they thought it was nonsense. So everyone is in a place where they've been fed the nonsense and they believe that nonsense is real. So therefore, they don't even look. Why would they? I don't blame them. Why would you look if you think you already have it? So number one, that's what it does. It takes away the search. Okay. Number two, when you are searching with a clear mind. Because when you are searching, you're not searching and then testing everything against the lies you've been told to see if that's true or not. Because you're convinced that the consciousness of the blah, 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 and the blee, 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 and the guru X and guru Y and the and the stoicism and the social influencer and the latest hack and the mindfulness in the jungle, and like I could talk for the totality of everyone's life in this room combined, and I wouldn't be able to exhaust the garbage that's in your head. And it's gone beyond your head. It's into your bones and your liver and your spleen and your blood. There's almost no getting it out, because one has to be savagely wild and determined to be convinced that it's lies, and therefore he wants to get it out. That's we know. So that's destruction. Yeah. That's putting a person into a cage and throwing away the key, because he's finished. The conditioning is complete. He's done. Society never has to worry about him again. He has drank the Kool-Aid, and he is conditioned to seek more Kool-Aid for the rest of his life. So that is more destruction than even losing a limb. That's more destruction than anything, because it destroys your whole life. Because you are convinced of lies, and that being convinced of lies, your life is a lie now. That's it. You're dead. You're clinically alive, but you're dead, because nothing you believe is true. From any sentence that you utter, even the question that you ask, and once again, I don't mean you, I mean everyone. Starting with the word "the," it's a lie, because it's based upon assumptions. And if you have no assumptions, you can't speak. You're not going to ask a question. But all of those assumptions come from the substrate of the ingredients, the raw materials that you've been fed for your whole life. So you've been given the lettuce and the tomatoes and the onions and so forth. And when you speak, you are making a salad. Fine. But that salad that you are making is from the onions and tomatoes and lettuce that you've been given. It isn't from onions and tomatoes and lettuce that you made up yourself. You didn't create those. They were given to you, and that's fine too. The problem is those onions, tomatoes, and lettuce were given to you by the world. They were given to you by spirituality. They're given to you by self-help. They were given to you by self-development. They were given to you by gurus. They're given to you by your parents. They're given to you by your friends and society and the world. Basically, everything outside your window. And because of that, any word that you speak is composed of those tomatoes, onions. So everything you say is a lie. Every assumption is a lie. Everything you think is a lie. Not because you're a liar, not because you're trying to be dishonest, not because you're mean and evil and try to mislead people. Nothing to do with that. It's all you know. So until one understands the level of destruction without any feeling that is an over dramatization or hyperbole, exaggeration, until that happens, he's just going to keep asking nonsense, because the nonsense is going to be composed of the poisonous lettuce and tomatoes and onions.
The only time I feel connected to truth is when I'm really focused, and whenever I actively think about it, it feels as if I'm moving one layer out. I don't really know how to describe it, but any attempt at actively thinking, it just feels like I'm just outside. It's like a different layer than when I'm really focused. So is there a contradiction between actively thinking and truth?
Well, it's like I told the other individual, when you think, what can you possibly think about?
I mean, anything, just the idea of actively thinking is just, it's like on a different dimension.
You didn't hear the question. Whenever there's a fraction of a second between the question and the response, you didn't hear the question.
I did.
You heard it. You heard the words. What did I ask?
You're asking if there is something specific I'm thinking about.
No, I didn't ask that. I didn't use the word specific at all.
What?
I said, when you think, what are you thinking?
Say it again.
I'm not asking for specificity. I said, when you think, what can you possibly think about?
Anything in general, just the idea of thinking.
Okay. And where is that going to come from? What is going to be the content of that thinking? What is going to be the source of the content of that thinking?
Yeah, it's my mind. That's why I said I.
No. You jumped so. Yeah, it's my mind. You didn't understand anything. What is the content of your thoughts?
Desires, scenarios, imagination.
What is the source of contents of your thoughts?
Goals, desires, future.
No, that can be the content, but that isn't the source. So did you listen to the other thing I said told the other person a minute ago?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You may want to go back and listen to that. The source, you've been fed a bunch of lies, the poisonous tomatoes, onions, and lettuce. That was the analogy that I used. So all you can think about is poisonous tomatoes, onions, and lettuce.
Hey, good evening. I wasn't called up, but I'm just I have the mic, so I had a question. Thank you for providing the space. And really, I'm in the trading world, learning new things constantly, and I'm having to. I love this discussion about truth, because really the truths that I think I hold are actually what's holding me back. And underneath those things, the source, I believe, is a root belief that I've chosen to accept as truth. That anything that I think is hindering my pathway towards the things that I desire and are attempting to achieve are truths that are untrue, things I have to choose to believe. So the question would be, what in your understanding would be the quickest way to begin the path of unlearning false truths, which obviously are many?
Well, why do you want to unlearn?
Because in my path, I have held a lot of things. The older I get, so why would I want to unlearn the truth? So trading is a very, very, very mental game, and the only way you succeed is if you've increased whatever you're attempting to grow. And so I desire the growth, if you want to use that word, or if I choose to use it, in my path is choosing to accept responsibility for those things that I've been given responsibility for, with my family, my children, my wife. And not that those are my things, right? Those are simply something that I feel responsible toward providing for. And any way that I feel I'm not able to perform those tasks, I believe the reasons would be truths I'm choosing to hold that are actually false, which, like I said, I've learned a lot. And the older I get, the more I see that many statements I've made in my past to friends or anyone, posts on Twitter, I feel less.
So there's something to understand.
Yeah.
I think there's what happens is that human beings make many mistakes in their lives. And the mistakes that human beings make are because they believe that things are a certain way when they're actually a different way.
Yep. Agreed.
But the reason that they believe that things are a certain way That's a learned behavior.
That's right. Programming.
And so the reason that the reason that they learned that behavior is because they didn't go around with cotton in their ears and blindfolds over their eyes since the day of their birth. And no sane person would ever do that. However, that is what's required, right? And since, like, the only way that you're not going to do that, like, the only way that you're not going to listen to the world, whether it's in your profession or in life or whatever it is, it's just the stuff, okay? Turn on the radio, stuff. Turn on TV, stuff. Pick up a book, stuff. Leave your house, stuff.
Yep.
Okay, just stuff. Okay. So the only way that that's not going to happen is if you have cotton in your ears and blindfolds over your eyes, or you happen to have a very unique, and by unique I don't mean good, just unique, unique and strange DNA that basically propels and compels you to listen to no one. Whether that's because of some profound mistrust that you happen to be invested with by some miraculous for some miraculous reason, or you're just iconoclastic, or you're just the most contrarian human being ever to walk the face of the earth. Like, so something extreme. There's no moderation, right? So something extreme has to happen, because you will admit that from the day of your birth to have blindfold on and cotton in your ears for the rest of your life, that's extreme. Okay? So something extreme has to happen, whether it is an external extreme that either you impose upon yourself or someone imposes upon you, or it is an extreme which is something that's in your bloodstream. If neither of those extreme things happen, which insulate you and protect you from the world and the nonsense, you're screwed. You know, what is that? That's putting it too nicely. Say that you're screwed. That's like saying you put your hand on the stove and you leave it there, and flames arise and they burn your entire arm off, and call that, oh well, I had a scratch. You wouldn't call that a scratch, but saying that you're screwed is like calling it a scratch. Okay, you're screwed because even if at whatever it is, 40 or 50 or 60 years old, you say, you know what, this stuff is all nonsense, and you want to walk the path of truth. Yeah, fine. That's 40, 50, 60 years you'll never get back. You're screwed.
You're right.
Like,
You're 100% right.
Even if you became Buddha, right,
Yep.
at age 61.
That's right.
That's fine. And like that's better than not becoming Buddha. I'm not speaking in a relativistic sense. I'm speaking like,
That's right.
so what? So from 61, let's say you died at 85, right? Or from 61 to 85, you were the Buddha. Fine. But from 1 to 60, you lived a life of being screwed, a life that you'll never get back. So the sum total of your life is just destruction, right? And so I think that has to be understood, that the world, and I don't even like saying it, I really don't, because the moment I say it, it's going to sound like I'm trying to sell that message, that have you believe and try to convince. And I don't think there's anything further away from my interest than that. Like, I don't, like, the moon is right next to me compared to that, right? I couldn't care less who is convinced and who is helped by. I don't care, right? So, but the fact is the fact. So I'll make a statement of fact, and that is, unless you understand even the fraction of a degree, forget the degree, even a fraction of a degree, even to have the inkling, even to have the glimpse that you have been totally and utterly destroyed, murdered, right?
That's right.
You don't have a chance.
Yeah.
Because, I get some emails sometimes, and then when I get these emails, actually, these people might have a chance. I get these emails where say, I don't even like saying this because it sounds like I'm giving myself praise, which once again, that's also like nothing can be further from. But I'm only mentioning it because the person said it, therefore I'm relaying it. It doesn't make, I don't get anything from it, but it's good for them because they might get something from it. So once I read your stuff, I can't read content anymore, right? I can't go back. I can't.
It's all sales. It's all marketing.
I can't read the stuff anymore. Like I can only read your stuff, right? Now,
Right.
I like no one should read my stuff. I got to backpedal on that like for the next hour because just to get that bad taste out of my mouth for having said that. Like, no, you shouldn't read my stuff. No, I don't want you to read my stuff. No, I couldn't care less if you read my stuff. No, my stuff isn't good. No, I don't recommend it. So like, I can't say that enough. I'm only mentioning it because the guy mentioned it. Okay, that's it. So like, no, I don't think that if you read my stuff that you'd be better off. I really don't. That's not humility. I really don't, because to read my stuff, you have to be ready. Like my stuff will come across as the most negative, like, depressing, in your face, violent, wild attack. If you're not like, there's no way, right? You shouldn't read it. It's not even for you, right? Because but unless you understand that everything is a lie, right? And even when you said it's all marketing, it's even beyond that. I even the attempt at benevolence, even your friend. Well, your friend isn't marketing to you. Your friend isn't selling anything to you. Your friend's a liar, right? Not an intentional liar.
Of course.
Does he wants your best at heart? I never mean anything is intentional. Okay, so but he's a liar not because he's a mean liar, but he can't help it
That's
because
right.
it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right? There's one guy left in the entire world and everyone else is infected, right? And you have to understand that no matter how much of a suit and tie and well together the guy looks on the outside, he's body snatched. He's infected.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And so unless you understand, you are the only person in the world who has a chance. That is, if you have a chance. You may not even be one of those people who has a chance. Okay. And it's very unlikely that a human being is. So that's one in the 50 billion, right? So unless, like, for the possibility of truth to be even born, whether it's in one profession, your profession is investing, or whatever it is, it's in one's life and relationship, and you mentioned you're taking care of your family, whatever it is, those are all chock full of truth. But instead, the human being is chock full of lies, and so his conduct, his behavior, his actions, his thoughts, his ways of being, his ways of relating, everything he does, from lifting a finger to opening his lips, from lifting a finger to opening his lips, is a lie. Okay. Now, he must understand that isn't something that he should prevent himself from doing. Like, stop lifting your finger, stop opening your lips. I'm not saying. I'm saying it's the understanding that all of one's thoughts and actions are coming from a substrate which has been fed to him for his entire life, not his own doing, not his fault. But nevertheless, because that's what's within him, that's what he has to understand. So it isn't about undoing. It is about undoing, but it really isn't, because there's no undoing if you don't understand. Because if you say, okay, I agree with you, fine, I'll buy what you're selling, right? It's okay. I'll I'll take it on faith. I'll take it on your word that all I've been given is destruction and my life has been destroyed and it's all a lie. Okay, now how do I undo? That doesn't go anywhere because you took it on faith. Right? And it's foolish to believe me. It's foolish to listen to anything I say. Because unless you have the understanding in your own personal experience, you don't have a prayer of undoing anything.
Hello. Uh, I'm 21, and right now I've been, at least for the last few days, been self-examining about what my potential is and what I'm capable of doing. What specific question would lead me to realizing the truth about my potential a lot quicker? Like, what am I not seeing or understanding? Because I know deep down inside what I'm capable of. And right now, the questions I'm asking, I don't think, or I feel as though they're making the journey a lot longer than it should be.
Potential is a very vague term.
What are like the capabilities? Like right now, I'm in business.
I know what potential means. You don't need to put a synonym for it.
Do not know what to say.
One must be crisp in his word choice. One must have truly considered and thought out the question. There can't be any junk food. Everything with precision. Every word chosen for a purpose. All things fitting together like a tapestry.
Is a solitary life the truth?
So if I lock you in a cage for the next 30 years, is that truth?
I guess that's an extreme case, but I'm wondering if
Okay.
the root.
If I lock you in a cage that is not so far from the world, is that truth?
That's still.
Okay. If I place you in a room that is within 526.375 yards of the nearest human being for the next 30 years, is that truth?
You can be solitary around individuals where another individual's expressions do
why
not
are you asking the question?
direct
Why are you
your
asking the question?
behavior. They
You asked
do
the question.
only in the immediate.
A few years back, I read something from one of your books, and it was an interaction between a teacher and a student. And the teacher, the student asked the question of who am I? And the teacher responded, you're all that remains when you remove all the things you are not. And then the student eventually says, I am certain, are you certain that I am none of the things I believe myself to be? And the teacher responds, yes, I am certain about that. So when I read that, it was a brand new idea to me. I didn't understand it. It sounded quite out there. And I think over the past few years, I have read a lot more of your things that led me to other things. And I feel like at this point, I can say confidently to myself anyways, that I understand intellectually what that means and the idea behind that interaction. However, in the past 2 years, I don't think I've made an inch of progress in understanding that idea more than
you're not going to.
So my question is, Do you have any comments on moving from the intellect?
Did you hear what I
Oh,
said?
no, I did not. Please repeat.
You're not going to.
I see. Okay. And could
I'm not going to tell you it takes too long, because you can have it in 5 seconds. It just depends on who you are. It depends upon what level one is looking for, the depth of his desire to find that. Once again, it's I'll go back to the statement that I don't know why anyone reads my stuff, because like it's not really for anybody. Because what's going to happen is that, like you said, you read my stuff and then you went on to other stuff. It's all that's you're gonna, like, with the exception of mine, everything that even relates to anything like that is all through the lens of spirituality. And as soon as you open the door of spirituality, you're gone. It's over. Game, set, match. The fat lady has sung. The credits are rolling. It's finished. Right? There's no way. There's not even a possibility through spirituality. And so, but when you went from my stuff to other stuff, you were doomed. And if you would have stayed with my stuff and only my stuff, you still could have been doomed. But then you would have been doomed for a different reason. But which may not, it doesn't matter, because you, but with my stuff, at least you have a possibility, right? Possibility isn't very high, because no matter how much truth I tell you, you have to be of a particular DNA to be sufficiently receptive to the truth. And receptive doesn't mean an effortful receptiveness. It means the just the capacity, right, to have like a bomb go off inside you. So so as soon as you go into spirituality, you cannot, like, you can't enter through that door. And what I mean by can't doesn't mean you should not. Can't means that's not where it is, right? So I could say you can't get water from a rock. Okay? It doesn't mean you shouldn't try. If you want to try, you can try, right? There's not a rule. But can't, when I say it, I mean that isn't where it is. Well, if you want to drink a water and you're in the desert, I mean, unless there's some, survivor, trick that I don't know about, it's not, I'm no expert, in the wild survivor, but maybe there's a trick, I don't know. But as far as I know, the rock shouldn't be where you're looking if you want water. So that like, these are not rules, right? It isn't a rule that thou shalt not, go by way of spirituality. Thou shalt not, read about spirituality. Thou shalt not follow self-help and self-development and listen to people and mastermind groups, all this stupid, idiotic nonsense, drivel, garbage, right? There's no thou shalt not. If you want to, you can. But what I'm saying is it isn't there. And even that you shouldn't believe. You shouldn't take on faith. Go see. Who knows? Maybe you will get through spell. Maybe you'll be the first, right? So I mean, and I mean that. I mean, nothing is absolutely 100% impossible. One could, if one devotes himself to, if there's one grain of something in something, the guy could say, well, it's all nonsense, but there's one grain here, and I'm gonna devote my entire life to the one grain. Okay, like there's no, like, absolutely. I mean, in fact, and from that thing, you probably could get water from a rock. If you're going to go to that level and there's one grain and drop of water, maybe you can, right? But I'm talking practicality here, right? So, like, that isn't where it is. So it isn't thou shalt not seek spirituality. It's not where so, like, I didn't not put it there, right? I didn't extract truth from spirituality. That's not my doing. And I didn't take water out of the rock so that nobody would find water in rocks. Right? I'm just telling you the way it is. And that isn't where it is because that's artificial. Spirituality is artificial. It's fake. It's words. It's concepts. And concepts are not reality. Now, sure, there has to be probably some level of intellectual understanding that has to arrive at first before it can become visceral. Sure, I mean, that's not necessarily, but that's perfectly reasonable. But that isn't going to happen through spirituality, that jump is going to be made. Never. I mean, never in the sense of, unless you're willing to get one drop of water from a rock and devote life, okay, fine. Maybe it's, one drop less than never. Okay, fine. Just to be accurate, for completeness' sake. But if something is not where it is, then to go that route is to fail before you even begin. So all of your effort is wasted. And why would you waste your effort? The reason that you would waste your effort is because you don't know that it isn't there. But then why would you know that it isn't there if everyone and their mother has always told you it's there? Well, you would never know that. In fact, they not only they've told you it's there, but it's being bombarded like gunfire at all times. That's all there is. So, like I was telling the other guy, I mean, unless you like want to put cotton in your ears and blindfold over your eyes, I mean, there's no way that you're going to avoid it, and there's no way that you're going to want to avoid it. But you want to go from intellectual to visceral in terms of finding out who you are. I mean, it's never going to be found through spirituality. So that, once again, it's one of those if you remember nothing else type of things.
Hi, Kapil. I'm new here into spirituality, but I notice what you all said is actually happening in my mind. My mind only brings either the past ideas of what have happened or the future, which is the fears that I'm afraid of. And I observe those.
So that isn't something that you found either. Yes,
I don't control them. They just keep
you
coming.
noticed that happen. Hang on.
Yes.
Stop. You noticed that happening, but you picked that up from the world that the mind thinks only of the past and the future, right? That's jargon. It doesn't mean it's not. Doesn't mean that isn't what's happening. It doesn't mean that isn't what happens. It's not what that. I'm saying. Even the first word you use is spirituality. You've been forgiven because you're new here, so you don't know that spirituality is nonsense. But and that might take you 45 years to discover even that one statement. But even that is conditioning. Those weren't your words. The mind thinks of only the past and the future.
That is correct.
So therefore that's conditioning. That's brainwashing.
That is correct.
Okay? Now, okay, so that isn't wrong, and that. But do you have a question?
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, what's your question?
So when I observe what is going on through my mind, it's either the past or the future that I'm afraid of. There is an observer. That observer is not me.
Yeah, you're just you're just gone. Okay. I mean, my instinct is to tell you come back 40 years later, and by that time I'll be dead anyways. But it's not going to take you less than 40 years. Maybe if you're diligent, maybe you can do it in 5. I don't know. Okay. I think if you're new here, it would be best for you to sit back. Maybe if you want, you can read my stuff if you want. I mean, I'm not, but like you need to have some introduction. You can't just come up with a question because you have to be educated to ask the question. right? You can't, that's like you have to have you have to have swam in these waters for a while, right? Otherwise, it's going to be hoo, la di da di da, spiritual nonsense, self-help jargon, this Bhagwan Das, this, like, you don't have at this moment in time, or any moment in time near this moment in time, anywhere in the near future, you don't have the capacity to ask a question. Not to me, not because I'm important, I'm not important, but because you haven't, you don't even know what you're saying. You might as well have a surrogate asking the question for you. Like, even when I said these are not your words and you said yes, you don't even know that you're saying yes. Okay, you don't know what you're doing. You're too far away. Sit around for 3, 5 years, maybe even 9 months. Who knows? I don't know who you are. So whatever, but you can't ask a question.
Hi, Kapil. I hope you can hear me. My question is, when people care about what others think of them, is that because they genuinely care what other people?
So who is people and who is
Myself, me.
like I'm not here for. Okay, so unless you're like 15 people,
I'm sorry. When
I mean, okay, so don't speak in generalities. Don't ask hypotheticals. I'm not interested in Trivial Pursuit.
Gotcha. All right. So when I care, because I genuinely do, when I care about what people think of me, is that because I genuinely care what they think of me, or is it more like I'm afraid of seeing myself the way I think other people see me?
The answer won't help you because that I could say, multiple choice A or B. I could say B, or I could say A, or none of the above. When you leave the phone call, that won't do anything for it.
Hi, Kapil. So I'm a young man, age 31. I'm a new parent. I have a young daughter, but I have a very complicated relationship with my parents. Just asking for guidance to how I can perhaps approach it differently, because I have a lot of
2 words. 2 words. These are pretty universal. Honesty and respect.